Hello, hello, beautiful women of the 8% Club. How are you doing? This will be our first video in the monthly series, um, where I intend to create these specifically personalized for you. No one else gets access to these videos. They remain completely in the 8% Club library, which is very exciting. You'll have to excuse me, it's very warm. Turn the aircon off because it's very loud. So it's either be too warm, too loud, So I just want to point out what a great space this is. This is the living room in our Airbnb here in Saigon. Is yeah, scrumptious place. So my intention for these videos is that they are a very practical coaching, inspiration, inquiries, and hopefully would lead you to taking some action steps, or at least to begin that process. So it would be wonderful after listening and taking in this video, if you wanted to share in our community space anything that comes up for you, anything that's inspired, or any action steps that have become illuminated that would be helpful for you to take. The 8% Club is very much a place where we get shit done. And for many of us, as we know, we can end up staying in the space of dreaming, thinking, checking this idea, is it that one, and so on, and not necessarily taking any action. And sometimes the reason for that isn't really about choosing something to focus on, which is what we're going to be exploring today. It's about what happens when we step in. We can come up with all sorts of excuses. As we know, we all have all these different responsibilities and duties and things going on in our lives that are always going to be going on. But then it gets to a certain point where we know we have a choice to say yes to what is important to us, to say yes to what is non-negotiable, and just simply to begin. So we are very much looking at the space of beginnings. And this comes down to choice. You have chosen to be a part of the 8% Club. Wonderful. And there's a reason why. And all of us will have our different reasons. Okay. I think I just mentioned actually in a voice note in our community space. For me, this was born from an absolute desire to have that tribe of creative human beings to create together, to collaborate together, to inspire each other, to encourage, to celebrate, and to stay in accountability for that which we desire to grow, which I desire to grow. I'm very aware, and I think it is the thing for so many of us creatives, that a lot of that work is done in isolation. It can be quite a solitary life, even if we are married, we have partners, we have children, we have jobs, we have all this kind of stuff. The creative voice of us, that expression, that pathway, can be quite a solitary space. So this is a place for us to bring all these conversations and allow the juice of that to feed and nourish each other. That's certainly already starting to be the case, I think, for all of us in this group. Okay. So we're going to touch upon, how do we know what to focus on and what creative direction to take? So before we even set off down any path, we need to start from where we are right now. We always start from where we are right now. And then the process, the path, is that place from here to this this destination, this dream, this plan, this idea, this goal, whatever you want to call it, those will all be things that we can touch upon over this time together. That's it. That's the place where of unknown, that's the place of aliveness, that's the place where life is literally beating its creative pulse. We're starting where we are. So it could be that for some of you, you know where you are, you know what it is you would like to be doing. And for you, it's wanting to strengthen that commitment and devotion to that particular thing. So for me, it is in committing more consistently with showing up to write. And it's starting to happen. But this is what I really want me to put into this space. And as we go along, and I think perhaps when I get a little bit clearer into next week, I would love to, well, actually, when we have our session next week, I would love to give a voice to what it is that I would like to work on. So that's my invitation for you as well, to get either very clear on that. And I hope this video is going to support you in finding that clarity, or at least to come with something that you can begin to give breath and form to. Okay, start on something. Which brings us right back to, how do I know what to work on? How do I know what to give my time and energy to invest myself into? Especially if I don't know whatsoever right now. Or maybe that I've got lots of different possibilities and they all seem kind of interesting or maybe important or exciting, and I'm just not choosing because there's too many options. There is a very real point of anxiety about choosing our creative path. It's very real. It's again why so many people don't even get to this point of sitting to go, I want to start, but I don't know how. And interestingly, this can show up behind a variety of excuses. Oh, I have far too many ideas. I can't possibly choose just one. What about the others? Or I don't know if I have much time to put into that as I would have liked. Or I've tried this before and it didn't work. They're all just excuses. And I say that with absolute compassion for those places in us because it can seem very real. There's a fear that if we commit to one thing, if we say, okay, I'm just going to take this thing and run with it, that is not going to be the right choice. Okay, let's start with that. If you knew what the right choice was right now, then you'd be committing to that thing without question. There is no way to know if something is the right choice or not. And essentially, what does that even mean? What is right? And I think a part of where that gets confused or mixed up in us is that going to be the thing that leads us to X, Y, and Z? Is that going to be the thing that creates a successful path? Is that going to be the thing that gets my name on the map? Is that going to be the thing that I'm meant to be doing? Otherwise, I'm just wasting my time. I don't want to waste my time. And yet, how much of our time and other resources, our energy, our imagination, and so on, are we wasting by not even giving something a go? I mentioned something in the Voice, Visibility, and Vulnerability Challenge that a lot of you really took to, and that is around improvisation. Whatever we come with, whether it's a really, really strong sense of an idea, something that's got quite a lot of form to it already, or whether it's just a mere, just a little feeling or a sense of something, or a word or a shape or a color or an image, and that's it. We have to allow ourselves to run with that in the playground of improvisation. This is the mystery space. We don't know. But the problem is, if we're very stuck on these quite binary terms of right or wrong, is this the right thing to do? Is this the wrong thing to do? We get ourselves caught up because it's essentially not really about this. Okay? What does that even mean? It's essentially about, rather than right and wrong, it's about how much of this feels like it aligns with what's important to me, what feels meaningful to me. It doesn't have to make logical sense. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. And here we just turn a little and remind ourselves or begin this exploration of why. Why do I want to go down this creative path? Why do I want to be more devoted to my creative practice? Why do I want to begin or restart to put my offerings out into the world? Why? Or why is the center point of everything. It holds vision that is bigger than just personal us, because that's where we get all stuck. It's a very ego-y place. Nothing wrong with ego. Ego, fine. We can get very stuck in this very personal, small, contracted place rather than softening a little and expanding and looking up and out and going, okay, something in me, there's a longing, there's a hunger, there's an urgency, and it's connected to a reason that runs through the whole of my being. Maybe it's my soul's voice calling. Maybe I don't even understand why. It's connected with passion. The word passion ultimately means to suffer for. What is it you're willing to suffer for? Creating art is work. Living a creative path is not necessarily easy. It's work, okay? The point is to choose something, because when you choose something, you're going to learn a hell of a lot. Firstly, you're going to be in the creative process. You'll have started. So you'll learn about your own creative process. You'll learn about yourself. You'll start to build something. You'll fall down and make a mistake or realize this isn't quite right, but you'll know that you gave that a go, and that will inform a different direction or a different choice. We could spend our whole lives choosing different things, giving them a go, and then moving on to something else. What if it's not really the point? What if the point is the engagement of something that has a meaning to us, that makes us feel delicious, in joy, alive, it feels vital to us, it has a meaning, it's important for some reason. So if we're stuck about where to start, to go back to, hold on, why do I want to even choose something in the first place? Why? Maybe the why is simply because it makes me feel peaceful and centered. We can bring that into whatever it is that we're doing. Maybe our why is because it matters to us to have a particular voice, hence why I write, to free up, to allow, to see, to represent in some way things that are not spoken of, to explore imagination, stories, magic, beauty, wonder out into the world. That's a big part of my why. And often I have to remember what that is. I have to come back to sit with that again. What is the bigger vision that I'm in service to? The what, in a way, doesn't really matter. Once we're clear about what is this bigger sense, it's almost as if we're living as purpose. We're willing to make meaning of our lives in service to something bigger. The what is irrelevant. All of life becomes a part of that, becomes the fabric of that. And that can inform our creative projects. It can inform our creative businesses. It can inform our creative relationships and so on. So taking the pressure off having to get that choice right. Okay, put that one down. Another reason that we don't make that initial choice, as I was saying about there's an anxiety there, is because, as I've mentioned before, it means then we are saying yes to the responsibility of starting that journey. What my family don't get it. What my family or the people around me are resentful of the time, I'm suddenly turning around and going, I'm giving this and committing to this amount of time. I'm planning to do this at this point in my week. This is important. What if there's a bit of a backlash against that? So again, there could be this kind of beautiful dreaming around things, but actually the world around us that we're living in, the environment, does not necessarily support that creative life, and it brings fear in us. So then we have to look at a couple of things here. The first is, how much do we want this creative life? And the secondly, the second thing here is, if I don't have that as a support around me, where can I look to have that support? Ta-da! Here we are in the 8% Club. You can bring that into the space. And I really invite you to, if you're aware of this anxiety that's there of choosing something, to give it a voice. Yeah, let it be heard, that part. It might not necessarily go away, but giving it a voice lets it breathe a little, lets it be free. It creates more space in you. It frees that up. It's not holding you hostage from the inside. And without trying to find a way to necessarily to fix that, it might allow something to come from that place. So that feels an important piece here. There are other aspects to finding that thing of our creative direction, and that could be to do with what we value. It might be we want to explore something that's of value to us. It also might be that we're putting a lot of pressure on. This has to be this particular thing because I'm going to get like one go at it or something, or what will people say if it doesn't work out? This is where we have to get tough with ourselves. There are no guarantees with anything. You could come here with a very clear idea for a project, a craft plan, business idea, offerings you want to put out there. So clear. And this is something I've seen time and time again working with clients. Sometimes when we get that dream down, we really look at it. There's nothing to it. It's just dust. It doesn't have any form or substance. So sometimes actually just entering into that space of the unknown and having our hands open and going, I actually really don't know. But I am open and I'm here to see what wants to come through today. So to bring that, I don't know what to focus on, into a prayer. Curious prayer. I don't know what I want to focus on today. I don't know what I want to do, but I'm willing to show up and to listen and to be open to receive and just see if the muse will come and tickle my fancy a little bit if I do so. We can play in that for a while. It's a beautiful landscape to be in, particularly in those times when we're not necessarily working on something very specific, or we've just finished a particular project. We don't always have to have something ready to go in that way to engage in creative work and creative life. So it could be that when it comes to defining, this is what I'm going to work on for this next month, let's break that down that way. Maybe what you want to work on is being in that space of being open to the possibilities of the muse coming to find you, to listening more, to receiving more, to living in the question more. It's beautiful opening spaces where we remember that we are co-creating with something bigger than who we are. We can even do that if we've got something You know, say we want to work on a series of paintings for an exhibition. We can still bring that in. What do these paintings want from me today? What is my art asking of me? So I'm just going to check if there's anything else here. Yeah, it's really coming back to this having a faith in something bigger than just us, whether that's in your vision, your why, a sense of purpose, something that's calling you, something you can feel in yourselves, in the not knowing itself. So you make yourself an offering. Yeah. This becomes a devotional path and a practice. You don't have to know. Or follow your joy. Or try something a bit different than what you normally do, whether that's shaking up your routine, what you eat, how you wear your hair, the clothes you wear, the places that you go to. If you're feeling a little bit blocked, these are also good ways just to shake things up and give us a different perspective. So just to kind of give a little recap, there's yeah, lots of different ways we can go here with this. Allow yourself to name the anxiety, the creative anxiety that might be here right now around choosing what to focus on and what direction to go in. Okay, so that's the first thing. You can do that in the community space. You can do that when we meet up next Sunday. And I'd like you to get very clear about something you're going to take as your, we're going to call it a goal. And I'm going to tell you why, again on Sunday, why that's important. Part of this creating a structure to play out in. We need that framework. Goals can move, remember, they're not necessarily fixed. In a weird way, it's not actually important. Okay? We need to choose something, focus towards, we're pointing our compass towards. That can be quite a concrete thing, or it might be, as I've said, something a little bit more open, where it's more about following some more abstract sense or a feeling or a question you'd like to inquire into, but bring something into the space. And the third thing here is I would like you to think about 2 to 3 small little steps, little actions that you can start to proceed to take this week towards that. Yeah. So even if you're watching this video after the live sessions, still play with this. You can still bring this into the next time we come and gather together. Naming your creative anxieties, what's in the way of choosing something, following them, if they happen to exist. What is your goal for this month you're going to explore? Or bring that, whether it's concrete, something very clear, or it's being a bit more abstract in that space of improvisation. And finally, 2 to 3, very small, let's break it down, very actionable, very doable, so we don't overwhelm ourselves by the massive bigger picture. 2 to 3 action steps that you can begin to implement. Could be ways of behavior, okay? And just play with this. So we'll bring all of those to our session. We'll start to explore these and see where we get to, what's coming up for us. And I look forward to it very much. So any responses to this video, anything that comes up for you, any other inquiries and questions, as I say, put them into our community space together. And I hope this was helpful for you. It's very, very, very common for this creative anxiety to be there when we have to make that initial choice. We have to learn how to be with that. We have to allow that to be there and create. Yeah, holding both. Remember, waiting for the right circumstances, as many of us know. We get to a point where we go, well, I can't wait anymore. The perfect circumstances and conditions are never going to be here. They're going to be impossible. As Doris Lessing, the writer, said, somebody said this. So we make the choice to go, I'm going in now. Even with all the impossible conditions around me, I am going in to live intentionally this creative path and see what magic it can bring into. Okay, my darlings, sending you so, so much love.